So watching the 49ers during the practice session that's open to the media on Thursday and seeing what Mac Jones was doing out there, it wasn't much. And my first thought was, well, this is not optimal to have your quarterback, your backup quarterback, because your starting quarterback clearly wouldn't be able to play, to have him not being able to throw passes on Wednesday or Thursday. Now, whether he could have thrown passes on Wednesday or Thursday, that's one thing. But what was clear was that the 49ers decided that they weren't going to have him throw passes. So it basically was, it set up the stage of the 49ers wanted Mac Jones to not waste any throws early in the week that he might need to make on Sunday. So, I mean, while watching Mac just basically lob the ball in, brace on his knee, oblique injury also on the injury report, it also was obvious that the 49ers didn't think that this was too serious that could keep him off the field, because they didn't bring in another quarterback for a tryout or anything of that nature. And so they were going to roll into week 6 with Mac Jones and with Adrien Martinez. So clearly Mac Jones will be the starter. 49ers felt that way all along. And I think they just wanted to give themselves the best opportunity to reach the starting line on Sunday with 2 quarterbacks in uniform for this game. Now, Adrien Martinez is a guy that, he has a lot of experience, had a lot of experience in college, played in the UFL for the Birmingham Stallions, was in training camp the past 2 years with the Jets, was on the Jets practice squad last year. And after the 49ers had some injuries in their final preseason game to Tanner Mordecai and Carter Bradley, they decided, based on a recommendation from Robert Saleh, to bring Adrien Martinez to the 49ers. So he is the backup, more of a dual threat quarterback who can run the ball. I don't know how refined he is in the passing game. My personal opinion would be that if he were to get out there, it would be not necessarily a simplified version of the offense, but it would entail more running, which could set up issues too, because if he's in there, it means that Mac Jones can't be in there. And do you really want to subject your only other quarterback to some hits that would come with running the ball? But, because of the nature, the complexities of the 49ers offense, my thought would be that it probably would kind of come down to, here's your first read, and your second read is to scramble. Now, I don't know if that is actually the case, but that's kind of what I was thinking, was that Adrien Martinez is more of a running quarterback, certainly more than Brock Purdy, certainly a lot more than Mac Jones. So, but I guess we're getting ahead of ourselves. Mac Jones is healthy enough to play. Brock Purdy is not healthy enough to play. Brock Purdy was one of the players the 49ers ruled out on their injury report before they board their plane to go to Tampa, Florida for this week 6 game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, featuring 2 4-1 teams. Okay, so here is the injury report, and it's kind of similar to what it was a week ago. The only difference is there are more names added to the injury report. There is one name that wasn't out last week that is out now, and there's one name that was out last week who remains questionable for this game, and a couple other guys who are questionable as well. But let's just go right down to it. Here are the players who definitely will not be available for this game on Sunday. Brock Purdy, no surprise. Ricky Pearsall with the knee injury, no surprise. Those two will miss their second consecutive games in a row. Yetur Gross-Matos with the hamstring injury, I would expect him to be out for a while. Starting defensive end, who has been nursing knee situation throughout the offseason, training camp, and early in this season, but he will not play in this game. Kevin Gibbons, who's up from IR, and they opened the practice window for him. He's not fully ready from the pectoral injury. He won't play in this game. And then, of course, Jordan Watkins, rookie wide receiver, Again, I think I've said this before. I don't expect him to make an impact year one. That doesn't mean that the team is down on him. That doesn't mean that I don't think that he can become a good player. I think he can become a good player, but just right now for this rookie season, I don't see him making an impact, but he will have an opportunity perhaps next year to do that. Okay, so now the questionable guys. Mac Jones is listed as questionable. In my mind, there's no question he'll start in this game with Adrien Martinez as the backup. Juwan Jennings is also questionable. I don't know about him. He returned to limited practice on Thursday. He continued limited practice on Friday, but he's got not only the ankle, I think the ankle is okay, but the ribs seem to be the issue that kept him out of that Thursday night game against the Rams. And even though he's able to practice, I would assume it becomes more of a pain tolerance thing. And how productive can he be if he gets out there on the field Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? The thing about him is that he's a gamer and he's tough as nails. And if he's out there, I think he has this ability to just let the adrenaline take over and maybe feel no pain. He would probably also be given some medication, if you know what I mean, so that he doesn't feel any pain. So we'll see. 49ers have a 1:25 p.m. kickoff. That's 4:25 on the East Coast. So they can basically take it right up until 90 minutes before kickoff when teams have to disclose their inactive players to get to the 48-player limit for the game. So iffy on him. The other guys who are questionable for this game, Alfred Collins, he returned to practice. I believe it was his right knee, big brace on his right knee. I saw him out later in the week doing some work. So he's questionable. Kalia Davis having the hand surgery after the Thursday night game. So the day after that game, a week ago, he is questionable. Malik Mustafa is questionable as he returns off the PUP list. I'm pretty sure he will play. He was a full go during practice this week, so I think he'll play. And then Upton Stout with the ankle. So, if you look at the starters here, Brock Purdy, look at the starters who may not play. Brock Purdy won't play. That's Mac Jones' job. Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings, those guys are iffy. In the case of Pearsall, he's out. So Kendrick Bourne and Demarcus Robinson would be the guys who would step in there. Defensive end, Yetur Gross-Matos, is probably Sam Okawanu, who will be starting there. The other starters, Alfred Collins is a backup, but I kind of get the feeling that Alfred Collins is going to be a starter here soon. Kalia Davis, also questionable for this game. So the 49ers, they're going to have to call up probably a defensive lineman from the practice squad. And then Upton Stout, Chase Lucas would start for him. Malik Mustafa, don't know exactly what his role is going to be when he's cleared, when he's ready to go. I think that'll be Sunday. So 49ers have some depth, I think, at safety. Might be one of their more deep positions. Maybe running back would be there too. With running back, you have McCaffrey, Brian Robinson, Isaac Guerendo, and then Jordan James. At safety, you have four guys who have started a lot of football, really, when you think about it, from not Marquise Siegel, but he started every game in his rookie season. Siegel, Jason Pinnock, Jair Brown, and then Malik Mustafa. Of those four safeties, I think Mustafa is the best. I think he is a no questions asked starter in the NFL. The bigger question is just when will he be ready to take on those starting duties? Some of the guys who have injury designations this last week, but are fully cleared to play. The defensive linemen, Michael Williams, ready to go. CJ West, Robert Beal, the punter, Thomas Morstead, and then Kendrick Bourne had some ribs situation going on as well. So that's where the 49ers are heading into this game. I think this is going to be a tough one. The 49ers back-to-back games against the Rams, against the Buccaneers, those are their two toughest games of the season, and they're back-to-back. Now, obviously, they play the Rams later in the year, but playing them at SoFi Stadium, I think that's tougher than playing them at Levi Stadium. But obviously, I think the Rams are a talented team. For the 49ers to make it through the first round of NFC West games undefeated, that is a big boost for them and their playoff hopes. And now they face a team that I think is in a similar position, but maybe a much more clear-cut division winner. That's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 4-1 record. All four of their victories, they've trailed within the final minute of the game. So what does that tell you? It tells you that this game is probably going to be close. It's going to come down to a turnover here, a turnover there, a missed kick here, a made kick there. So I think this game really shapes up to be something special. And I'm just kind of reminded to what Tony Dungy, the former Super Bowl winning coach of, he didn't win a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he coached John Lynch with the Buccaneers. Tony Dungy said that he believes that this game is going to be a rematch, or I should say a preview of an NFC playoff game. And he thinks that whoever wins this game will ultimately be hosting the other team in a playoff game. And I certainly see a scenario where that could occur. So big game for the 49ers. On my game plan interview with Kyle Shanahan, you can find that. I think it airs on TV tonight, on Friday night, and then you can see excerpts of it, and it'll be also posted on 49ers Talk. I really kind of honed in on the depth, because I think it's very counterintuitive for where the 49ers started off in March, where they lost so many key players, either releasing them or just not re-signing them in free agency. In the case of Deebo Samuel, trading a player away. The only player they got back in a trade was Bryce Huff. But I think the major concern about the 49ers going into the season was depth. And you think about it, pretty much every level of the 49ers team, they have required and gotten very good depth from some of those players. Obviously a quarterback with Mac Jones. Running back has been the Christian McCaffrey show, no doubt about it. At tight end, it's been George Kittle out, Jake Tonjes, and Luke Farrell in. At wide receiver, last week they win a big NFC West game with Kendrick Bourne and Demarcus Robinson, while Jennings and Pearsall are out. On the offensive line, they've needed a backup, a rookie, Connor Colby, to step in for Ben Barch, and 49ers keep winning games. On the defensive line, obviously Nick Bosa is out. They need to find more of a pass rush there. Some guys have been in and out, so they've needed all 9 defensive linemen that they've suited up on game days to produce. I guess linebacker is a spot where they haven't had to use their depth, but I remember last week talking to John Lynch about the rookies and what they've contributed, and he talked about how excited he is about some of the rookies who haven't contributed. And one of the names he mentioned was Nick Martin. So he hasn't even stepped on the field yet, as the 49ers have stayed healthy at the linebacker spot. And then in the defensive backfield, we'll start to see some of the defensive backs, the safeties, kind of see what's going on there. But Darrell Luter stepped in and played well in his one game. And Chase Lucas did a really good job playing nickelback for the fourth quarter and overtime of that 49ers game against the Rams when Upton Stout was out. And Lucas made a terrific play on that fourth down stop to help the 49ers win that game. So there's the 49ers situation heading into week 6, and an all-important week 6 game against Baker Mayfield, who's freaking lighting it up right now, doing a really good job. 49ers, it's going to be difficult for them to run the ball on the Bucs. And it's also going to be difficult for them to generate takeaways, because Baker Mayfield, even though he's known as a gunslinger, super aggressive, throwing in tight windows, giving the defense some opportunities to make plays, he's only thrown the 1 interception in 5 games. So there's the quick Friday night preview. 49ers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Thanks so much for watching this video, and that is it for now.